For this project, I chose the software GameMaker Studio 2, and my name is Matthew Smith. So the platforms that use GameMaker, so through their development, they've been used in a multitude of platforms. So over the years, they've been used in uh, iOS, PC, Xbox, uh, creating mainly their 2D games, and yeah. So they did make some big games, not too many. Like Risk of Rain is a decent game. They created Undertale, which was a fairly popular game, as well as Hyper Light Drifter, which is a lesser known game, but it was well received by its fans. So uh, it's up to the developers and studios to choose what platform they want because Game Maker Studio 2 allows them to develop on practically anything. It's really up to the developers if they want it on only on PC or Xbox or Switch or just phones. So, however, like I said, Studio 2 does support all platforms, even the phones, which is a pretty big market as well. So, what types of games use the software? Since Game Maker Studio 2 is a 2D software only, so it only has the capability to produce 2D games. So this makes it incompatible with any like 3D softwares like 3ds Max. You can't really make assets for this game. It's mainly just art as assets. So many of the games are like undergo the pixel style, like Undertale, which I have a few images here. So this limits games to being very stylized and much lower detail, unless go the route by using many polys to create a very high detail thing, but that's just so much work. So many of the games are a lot lower detail. However, most people do consider them just as beautiful and polished as these AAA advanced graphic games like Call of Duty or GTA and stuff like that. So, cost and licensing agreements. So, GameMaker isn't too crazy about their costs, with them offering a limited publishing right to only Mac and Windows costing around $39. However, it does have some limitations because they want you to obviously pay more to get access to the bigger edition, which costs $100, but it allows you to publish on other platforms that were not available to be published on before, like Steam and other sites. So the reason why the owner gave these publishing rights out, like for two different variables, was for people because he believed that newer game developers should also have an equal chance to be able to create a game without having to dish out large amounts of money to have a software that really it shouldn't cost that much for them if they're really only going to publish on some sites, but also give them the chance if they want to ever uh, make a better game or get some new features that were unavailable. He gave them the option of a better thing, like for a higher price. So GameMaker isn't like Unity, where once your game makes more than X amount of money, it will expect a large sum of money in return because it did so well. So that's a bonus that, what's it called? GameMaker does for its developers. So some commercial examples of GameMaker Studio. So the first one is the trailer for Undertales. So as you can see, uh, it's very stylized, and it obviously follows the 2D format, um, as well as the game looks very well polished. It also has a lot of complex movements and programming they use with all the script implemented. They have some pretty cool mechanics as well, like you can see here. They have a lot of text-based interactions, and a lot of these mini games that you get to play throughout the game. So yeah, that's Undertales. The next one is Risk of Rain, which is another one of their more popular games. They has been made through GameMaker. Risk of Rain is more of a looter shooter, where you obviously the objective throughout the game is just to survive. Again, it's a very nice looking game with a 2D style with a side scroller with this one as well. This game though combines a lot of upgrading systems in it where you have to find objects and combine them to get more powerful so you can survive more levels. That's the general premise of this game, and sort of the progression is unlocking more characters. That gives you a higher chance of surviving to higher levels, and I believe there's also difficulty levels, so if you want to make it more challenging for you. But yeah, the overall goal is just to survive as long as possible. And also you can play with your friends in this game. So, yeah. So these are some of the more popular games. And yeah. And finally, what does the interface look like? So the interface is a little challenging to understand at first. It has a lot of hidden features that you kind of have to explore around and kind of get used to. However, if you've experienced other softwares similar to this, it's pretty easy to pick up on because it follows a very similar layout as others. Like I said, the interface is very similar to many other programs. However, this game focused a lot more. This program focused a lot more on script because that's what they use to build their game and so on. It's similar to Unity, where you have the ability to test out your level and see the progress that you've made. However, it's not like Unity where you can be trapped in there and make some errors. It allows you to just open a window, play your game, test it, and then exit it, and then go back to scripting, creating new art assets, and so on. And since this game uses a lot of art assets instead of making models and so on, it has a layers function just so you can filter through assets. It's similar to Photoshop in the sense that you have layers and you gotta filter through them to find certain things. And yeah, so overall, that's sort of the general gist of Game Maker Studio 2's interface. And so for my game design, so what my game's about. So when I created this game, I kind of wanted to be a simple, fun little game that's spin-off of Space Invaders what I decided to do was cats versus dogs, because I thought that'd be kind of a fun concept to go with. Obviously, 2D restricted because of software I'm using, and I wanted to be just a fun overall shooter. So, how long did it take for me to make? For me, it took a few hours because I not the greatest with script, so it wasn't the fastest thing for me to make. But I thought it would be a fun challenge to do. However, it's not a perfect game because I still didn't get everything right because of this. So overall, I enjoyed it, and it took me a few hours. So what went right with my game? So overall, once I grasped the program, it became a lot easier for me to understand. So I finally understood where the scripts were, the layout, how to add scripts, remove scripts, change scripts, and all that. So that was a great thing about the program. Um, the big thing that went right was one of the bigger things I should say was the score. So once you kill the dogs, your score increases, which was I thought was a cool little add-in. The animations. So I animated dogs and the cat having some simple animations like the dog has blinking animations that are timed, so they would repeat over and over again. Uh, the my favorite one probably out of this all is the cat movement. So I gave the ability for the cat to obviously move left, right, up, down, and all that. But I gave him the ability to rotate. So because of another big factor was his lasers, because he had to have the capability of killing the dogs, like in Space Invaders, where you have to destroy the invaders. So I gave him the ability to shoot lasers, and so overall the movements and the lasers had to combine together to work pretty seamlessly together, and I think they overall ended up doing a pretty good job. So some challenges. So, I had to do like a lot of troubleshooting because I wasn't the greatest at script. So whenever I occurred a problem while doing some play testing, I would have to go back through my scripts, go through the more recent ones, and just see if I did anything wrong, put anything in wrong, or something like that. So I had to do a lot of troubleshooting. So that was a big challenge for me, just so I could get overall the thing to work. Uh, some of my scripts didn't work. Like I had to remove scripts because they just weren't working at all, and I didn't think I had enough time to really focus and spend a few hours just to get something so simple to work that really didn't change too much of the overall game mechanics. So I left those out just because I think it's just been a waste of time when it didn't make an overall impact. I also had problems with the dog's movement. That was one that I knew I had to get right. That was one of the scripts that didn't work, but I knew obviously I had to get it right because it's a huge factor of the game. The dog was supposed to move in randomized direction, but it would always go in the exact same linear path no matter what, and it would not go through go into the corners and repeat through the top, so it would not loop. So I had a big problem with that, and obviously, if there's no movement and it's just the same game over and over again, I felt that would be just too repetitive. I wanted some randomized things just to add more challenge uh, in the game. I also had a problem with lives, so I thought it'd be a good idea to have a life system, sort of like Pac-Man, where you get 3 lives. So I gave the cat 3 lives. I was able to add the score board and the lives in the corner. However, once you die, it doesn't actually remove a life. It just keeps it there. So I couldn't get that system to work. So it's semi-implemented. That was the other script challenges that I had a problem with. So would I recommend this game? No, this program. Yes and no. Uh, because if you're going for a 2D and heavily script-based game, because if you enjoy that kind of stuff and want to make a game that's 2D and all that, like you like to do the art and do more of that instead of doing more animations and all that in other programs like Unity. I think this is great for you. I would definitely recommend it. However, if you're more interested in the opposite side, like modeling and 3D, uh, I don't think this is suited for you because it's all 2D. You don't really get to make assets besides art ones. So I just think it's better for people who enjoy the 2D pixel side of games. So I would definitely recommend it to them, and I don't think I would to people who are interested in modeling. And finally, I'm gonna do my game video. I'm gonna show it after this. It's just gonna go through my game, just me shooting, killing the dogs, sort of playing through it, and showing off some of my scripts, and some of their functions, and overall, that's what the video is about. And I'll cut to that now.